Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome to our online webinar today. Today's subject is Trainee, Emerging Talent and Future Leader Strategies. So thank you very much for joining us. We would love you to join in and participate throughout today's session. Whilst you have been muted on entry, I have hit the magic button that opens up your mic, so we do love a little bit of interaction. We've also got the ability for you to use a Q&A facility in your toolbar and the chat facility as well. Please do ask questions, as I've said, please do get involved. The session that we're currently in at the moment is being recorded for future reference, and that recording will be, or a link to the recording will be sent to you as well. Estimated length for the webinar is around 20-25 minutes, and that gives us a little bit of time to answer some Q&As at the end if you have them as well. So for those of you that haven't joined one of our webinars in the past, we are the Curve Group. We have a fantastic quest, which is to create extraordinary people solutions that transform people's working lives. The Curve Group is the largest privately owned recruitment and HR outsourcer in the UK, and that's something that we are incredibly proud of. What we do is provide configurable solutions across the entire employee life cycle. And if you look at the little dial on this slide now, you can see that that covers everything from workforce planning, screening and selection, induction, all the way through to employee advice, change management and exit as well. Our outsourced solutions are underpinned by a range of complementary specialist consultancies and different project areas, all within that wheel that I've just explained to you. As well as being fully embedded into the business, our solutions can also be used as a wraparound and complement your existing teams and functions, providing additional expertise and scalability when your business needs it most. So I've already said we are really proud of what we deliver. So this is just a small selection of our awards and our industry recognition over the past years. And I'm delighted to say that if we were in Curvy HQ, these would all be in a sparkly trophy cabinet. So I've been whittering away at you for a couple of minutes just to give you a way of a formal introduction. My name's Anna Clapton. I'm the head of HR consultancy here, and please do feel free to reach out to me if anything takes of interest to you today or if you need any further information. But I'm delighted to say that I'm joined today by Della Wolfe. She's our co-founder and head of projects. And again, Della's contact details are on the screen as well. Some of you may have seen this on LinkedIn and you may be expecting Amy, but we've swapped Della out for Amy just to a few things that are going on behind the scenes. But trust me, she knows just as much as what Amy did. So let's have a look at what's coming up today. We're going to be looking at what's happening in the market. We're going to be looking at the importance of workforce planning. We're also going to be looking at your options and just talk you through a couple of different ways that you can have a look at different talent coming into your organisation. We're going to be looking at you formulating a plan just to make sure that you're on track. We're going to be taking a look at some case studies, and quite excited to tell you that we've got a little video embedded into our case studies as well. We're going to give you what we believe are some of our top tips, and then give you the opportunity to ask any Q&As. So with that in mind, let's take a look at what's happening in the marketplace, and over to you, Della.
So kind of a bit of a backdrop really, setting the scene here. So we've got the Microsoft Work Trend Index, which shows that 41% of the global workforce are considering a job change in the next year. I think there's lots of literature and articles out there to demonstrate that is happening now in businesses, with 46% planning to also make a major career transition. I think most people, if we looked at where we would be this time this year, where we were last year, to know that the number of open vacancies is the highest it's been for 23 years is an amazing statistic. But we are certainly feeling that every day, with hospitality clearly being one of the major areas that is obviously struggling. We have this thing called Brexit. I think if we weren't in the middle of a pandemic, that would be making headline news. And obviously that has led to a real deterioration in terms of the supply of workers. We talk about it twice in the slide. It's really important, and also the points-based immigration system that's in place as well is going to carry on having an effect on that. And then I think remote working, there's been a real positive from a career opportunities perspective, with people being able to think about different opportunities they wouldn't necessarily have thought of if they had to go into an office every day. So I think that's opened up the market as well. So quite a lot there really in the backdrop of what's happening in the market. What we're also finding, so this is kind of really our perspective then, and what we're seeing on a day-to-day basis within the Curve group. We're finding that there's quite a lot of headhunting happening, not necessarily though. Usually we'd find at the top tier. What we're finding now is happening across the board. And part of that is like our gazumping that's happening with inflated salaries. Benefits are coming really to the forefront now, and seeing if that kind of gives people a payoff and try and displace people that way. That's certainly what we're finding. I think the EVP thing is really important. As part of my role, I'm doing quite a lot of outplacement at the moment, and also have been doing some hiring manager training, and the two kind of come together at the moment in that future employees now are much better informed and asking much more informed questions like, tell me what it's like to work here, what would I not like about working here, what are my career progressions, so what's your CSR commitment. So we're finding that is really, we have quite an informed buyer. If they're going to move, what's in it for them, and making sure managers adjust to that and reflect the fact that they're in sales mode as well as just, kind of tell me why I want to give you a job. And recruitment dropout rates are high, really high. As I said, that kind of along with people expecting more, asking for more, wanting more out of their careers, taking more ownership. We are finding that we are getting people dropping out at different stages of the process. So it is quite a challenging market, would be my summary of where we are at the moment.
So with that backdrop and the fact that it is a challenging market at the moment, what we've done is the importance of workforce planning. And I'm not going to teach you how to kind of suck eggs here. I'm sure a lot of this you have and you will have already thought about. But the things that will come to our mind when we think about this is the things that you really need to do. So you do need to be proactive, and you need to plan to enable you to achieve your business goals. Proactive planning for workforce requirements do need to be built though in line with your business strategy and goals. You need to think about your leadership teams, and you need to get these individuals behind you. They really absolutely need to be part of all of the future planning that you're doing at the moment. You need to proactively prepare for the future, and it does need phasing. Identify any possible skills gaps and pipeline as early as possible. Talk to your teams, try and reduce any flight risks, and consider opportunities to promote within. And we'll come on very shortly to some options around promoting within and where you can use things like your emerging talents and your future leadership programs as well. The more you can plan, the less attrition you'll have, and don't stretch existing teams too far or too long, because if you start to do that, then they're going to start to feel tired. And as we know, and as Della's already mentioned, it really is a candidate-led market currently at the moment. Overall package and EVP needs to be reviewed to ensure that you can attract and retain talent. So think about benefits, rewards and charitable giving. Think about your remote working policies. Think about your continuing professional development and all of the progression that you can give individuals. Think about engagement and retention strategies as well. So let's move on and let's just take a look at your options. So there are many strategies and strands of growth that you could deploy into your business. And you can see that these are just some examples, everything from apprenticeships to secondments, building an internal mobility scheme, through to returner programs and partnerships with the armed forces and education providers. But today, and in the conscience of time, what I'm going to do is just talk to you in a little bit of detail about three of these areas. And the three areas that I'm going to look at are emerging talent, trainees, and future leaders. So when I start and I think about emerging talent, there's lots of different ways that you can look at it. But emerging talent is new talent, or it could be existing talent that you bring into your business and then you develop to fill your skills gaps or to develop your future leaders. If you have a business that you want to expand and grow, then I would encourage that you have an emerging talent strategy. An emerging talent strategy should be aligned to your business strategy and will then support you and help you in terms of filling the skills gaps and having a succession plan. So just a couple of things to consider with an emerging talent program. You should be aligned to your business strategy, as we've already said, and what you want to think about is what your business goals look like for the next 3 to 5 years. Once you have your overall plans, you'll need to consider the skills and the roles that are required to do this, followed by how do you do your skills gap and how do you fill those skills that you need. And this is where you need to think about the different programs on offer. And this is where things like your future leaders and maybe bringing in a trainee program can help. What you also need to consider once you've got kind of your overarching theme and you know where your business is going and you know what your skills gaps are, is you also need to consider the cost of all of this. What's the cost of the benefits? What's the cost of bringing in more individuals? And as simple as it sounds, and this is where we'd be more than happy to help you, something as simple as a SWOT analysis to determine the best solution for you to meet those goals is what we can do. So let's move on to trainee programs and something that we are very passionate about here at the Curve Group. So this is an opportunity to grow your own talent. It's key here to ensure that you have a full program mapped out. So when you look at doing the sourcing and the attrition for these individuals, what you also need to think about, that engagement is key and needs to include a variety of activities to work along for the individuals to work alongside in their day-to-day position. You need to invest in this team. You need to ensure that you're investing in them so that they'll stay with you longer. We've already mentioned it, but making sure that CPD is something that is absolutely brought on right at the outset so they can continually refresh and go back and look at what they've developed. You need to think about if this is something that you sponsor in your business, then it's a great thing that you can do. You can do it in continuous programs, and actually every time you run a program, then you can learn from each one that you've run. And the final one that I just want to talk about is Future Leader Program. And what we talk about when we talk about our future leaders is leadership, really. And leadership programs are designed to train individuals within your company to take ownership of their jobs and the tasks that are required of them. Not only does it train people to be greater workers, but greater leaders as well. The role of a leader may be well defined, and it might include leadership authority and power, such as a manager, or it may be a little bit more loosely defined, such as a team leader who has little official authority, but has the responsibilities to get the job done and support others within their team. I think the thing to remember with a leadership development program is if you are making individuals leaders and they've never led before, they are going to need to know all aspects, from how to run a one-to-one to how to hold a difficult conversation and all the way through. Leadership development programs have several very important benefits. They can increase employee morale and retention. They can improve productivity, promote better decision making, build better teams, and train future leaders in your company who have a management style that is conducive to a positive working atmosphere and individuals that have grown up in your organisation so they know the way that you like to work. So now that I've covered those three programs and we've had a look at your options, let's just take a look at a couple of case studies. So I've got three different types of examples here for you, and I'm going to start off with Gatehouse Bank. So we currently partner with Gatehouse Bank from a recruitment perspective, and we've worked with them for quite a long time. But actually Gatehouse have a third party who they use, and they have a company that they use that come in who run their end-to-end program from sourcing and attraction through to setting up all of the initial meetings with the bank, ongoing training and development throughout the program as well, and supporting them in making the placements at the end as well. Where Curve play a part in this is we support the apprentices, we guide them through their early careers, and we're there to talk to them and give them the advice that they need on which direction that they want to take. So let's hand over to Della now, who's going to talk you through a little bit more about our IESA program.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think one way is absolutely to get an accredited provider. It's Vision Path, I think they're using, isn't it, Anna?
It is, yeah.
As a provider. So there are providers, obviously, as I'm sure you know, out there. IESA started a program called the Leaders in IESA Fast Track Program. Fortunately, a little acronym called LIFT, much easier. And just to give you some stats really on their program. So they chose us not as an accredited apprentice supplier, but as their recruitment partner to run the program and develop the program with them, which has been running very successfully. Their starting salary is 20k. It's a 5-year program, so quite a long program, but they promise 3 years to get to your first management role. They offer accreditation, so they offer the CMI level 5, ILM level 3, a SIPS qualification, and also Six Sigma. This has been a very, very successful programme for a growing organisation. To date, we have put in the organisation circa 60 people who have joined the LIFT programme. So another example really of, you know, not necessarily needing to go to an external provider, but making sure that you have a recruitment partner on board that can manage expectations and make sure that kind of there is a constantly recruiting element of this.
Excellent, thank you. And I think I'm most excited to talk about the third one, really. So there's nothing like growing your own talent, and it takes a lot of people to build a village. So here at the Curve Group, we have decided to run our own trainee programme. So we do have the advantages of obviously being a recruitment and HR consultancy organisation. So we did do our own resourcing, we did do our own sourcing of candidates. We then put these individuals through a virtual assessment centre because of the time that we were in at them. We have then mapped out their first year, and that does include internal and external programs to give them lots of support. We've placed them in different areas of the organisation, and we will constantly move them around the organisation. But what I'd like to do now is introduce just a short video, and Holly is one of our trainees, so she's just going to tell you what it was like to be on our trainee programme.
Hello, I'm Holly, and in April 2021 I joined the Curve Group on their graduate trainee programme alongside 4 other graduates, and I'm currently working in the recruitment team. Now, something you may be asking yourself, and something you certainly should be asking yourself, is why the Curve Group? Well, the thing that initially attracted me to the Curve Group was how people orientated they are as a company. They truly care about everyone that comes into their world, whether that be their employees or the clients that they work with to transform working lives. This was evident the moment that I set foot in the office on the first day of my induction. Even though handshakes were a thing of the past and a distant wave was the way we introduced ourselves, I was still met with huge smiles and immediately felt at ease. The other trainees and I spent the first 2 weeks completing a really thorough induction where we were introduced to all parts of the business, so we had an understanding of the bigger picture of what the Curve Group does. The conversations that we had with various people really showed that the company were looking to nurture us and help us grow into our roles. So, as I previously mentioned, I've been working in the recruitment team and I've been resourcing for one of our clients who are expanding on a really large scale. We have an 18-month project that we're working on and looking to fill over 600 vacancies in that period. So it's a really fast-paced role that requires determination to succeed. But every day I've spent on this project, I've learned something new, and I owe that to the team around me. Not only my direct team working on the project, but also other employees within the Curve Group. All of those people throughout my onboarding and induction who encouraged me to go to them with any question that I had, and I've certainly utilised that. So I think that really emphasises the community of people that the Curve Group has. And for me, this is only the start of my journey with the Curve Group. My potential to develop in this environment has no real ceiling. So, for example, I've recently applied to the Curve Group's new business partner development programme, which consists of a series of workshops and training sessions to develop things such as commercial acumen, leadership, influencing skills, along with resilience and ability to find creative solutions to problems. So if you're looking to join a team of people who continuously support your progression, passionate about what they do, and have a smile on their faces when they do it, you're definitely looking in the right direction. And by all means, if anyone has any questions regarding the trainee programme, please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn and send me a message. I look forward to meeting those of you who are successful in the assessment centre. Thanks, bye.
So a fantastic message there from Holly that really brings across how excited we are, and she's kind of stolen my thunder at the end there, because we're so delighted with our first trainee programme that we've actually formulated a second one. We're bringing in our second intake in September, and in addition to that, just as Holly said, we are actually doing a development business partner training programme in-house as well. So we've had our plan, but let's now hand over to Della, who's just going to talk you through how easy it is to formulate a plan.
Thank you. Okay, so just going to go through, there are 5 steps here, and then I'll go on to top tips. So the first thing is defining what the offering actually is. You know, we talked about the ISA salary, we talked about what the criteria are going to be for you to make your offers. So that's kind of like the starting point. promoting, engaging and sourcing. The promotion piece is both external and internal. You know, the video that Holly took isn't obviously aimed at this webinar. That's actually for our future trainee programs. So we've kind of done our own bit of PR. So that's our kind of external activity that we're doing to make sure that we've got the right collateral ready for external. But there was also a real effort made in terms of internal to make sure there is that support network. To use Anna's expression, it takes a village to grow a child. You know, it does need lots of people working together to make sure they feel supported and are developing in the right way. So kind of getting that promotion right, internally, externally, engaging the candidates, future candidates then, and making sure that the two are, you know, are talking to each other, and then of course going out there and sourcing the candidates. And for us, just to give that kind of then building on to selection process, I think the sourcing and selection, you know, when we were looking at the second group of trainees, which we're recruiting for now, we found that really difficult to start with. We didn't find the candidates out there, and you know, it took some quite more unusual strategies to get the candidates through, and then having that defined selection process and really thinking about, you know, is it skills-based assessment we want to do? What is it we actually want to get out of this group that we're bringing into business, and making sure that selection process is fair and brings you a very diverse and inclusive also group of candidates through. Once we've got the candidates obviously selected and offered, then thinking about that onboarding and induction process, and making sure that that is robust but also quite interesting. We certainly found, you know, to share an insight from our business, we started with a graduate scheme probably about 10 years ago, and then we went into did an apprenticeship scheme, and we just hadn't appreciated the difference between a 21-year-old and a 16-year-old. So for us, it was quite a learning there. So really thinking about the audience and the relevance of that audience, and even like the graduates, you know, when we did the program this time, or the trainees, it was very much around, you know, business skills, communication skills, you know, how to do emails and stuff like that we gave them, which was kind of going back to basics, but recognizing that some of them hadn't had any experience. You know, bar experience doesn't necessarily mean that you can work in office environments. So really tailoring it and not assuming that you can just sheep dip them on maybe your normal onboarding induction process. And lastly, obviously keeping them engaged. It's not just the kind of one-off onboarding opportunity. How do we engage in the business? How do we make sure that we retain them? Because whichever way you look at it, it's quite a big investment in the business, and you want to get people to stay, but also, you know, if we're looking at future leaders like the IESA program, and like Holly alluded to, we want to make sure they're staying in our business. So lastly, on to top tips, and there's quite a few. I'll just let these come up and then I'll just sort of talk at them, and there's a few things here that I can just draw attention to, I think. So I think I've already covered off that engagement piece. So, you know, making sure people are able to support this. It's interesting that Holly talks about being on a graduate scheme. We've always said this scheme is actually a trainee scheme, and simply because we did not want to exclude people that hadn't maybe finished their degree, hadn't maybe done a degree, maybe had done 2 degrees, as one of our trainees has. But it for us, it wasn't about, you know, that kind of 2-1 in business management or you don't get in. For us, it was around being flexible. So just think about maybe with your own schemes, what is it that's important to you? That getting the buy-in from the business, I think I've probably talked about that because I think that's really important. And then I think that EVP journey is really important, and making sure that we are recognising that what is it that people want out of our business. You've got options. You know, is it about just a recruitment partner that you need? Is it that you need a supplier, you know, like an accredited apprenticeship provider? Think about who else you need to help you with this. Inclusivity is a key thing. You know, Holly talked about the program she's working on. That's the Restart program we're working with the DWP on. You know, is this an opportunity to partner with an organisation that's giving long-term unemployed people the opportunity for employment? Is there an opportunity to align yourself to maybe a charity, maybe ex-offenders, just to make sure that there is a wide and diverse candidate pool? And then, of course, making sure that there's that ongoing engagement to make sure that you're keeping those amazing people that you've invested that time with.
Lovely, thank you very much. So that does conclude our webinar today, but we have got an opportunity now if there are any questions that you would like to ask us. So you can do that in a number of ways. I have opened up everybody's mic, so if you want to be brave and just kind of raise your hand or kind of just speak out, then we would love to hear from you. Alternatively, what you can do is message us in the chat facility or the Q&A facility, or if you'd rather reach out to us independently, then you can find us on LinkedIn. Our numbers or our email addresses are here. So I'll just give it a couple of seconds just to see.
I have a question.
Okay, go for it. Lovely.
Hi, it's Richard Larkin. Well, a couple actually. One on the general stats. You talk about dropout rates being high, which I think probably everyone echoes. But have you seen any sort of trends in particular points? I think we're seeing a lot of counters sort of right at the end of the process, but have you sort of seen or looked at tackling anything new or new ways of tackling that? Because I think it is a bit of a new one to a lot of people, of the magnitude it is. We've always seen them, but I think they're now like...
Yeah, I think, do you want me to pick that up, Anna?
Yeah, go for it.
I think you're absolutely right, Richard. I think it is something that we were quite surprised, caught a little bit unawares. And I think that I think for us, we are doing the analysis with our clients to see where is it, at what point is it that they are falling out of the process. And for us, there was we talked about the People Plus, the Restart program we're working on. We identified a particular challenge with that, with actually the gap between the first and second interviews. So for us, we managed to shorten that period down. With another client, we had a challenge with a particular group of hiring managers that actually weren't doing the engagement piece and weren't doing that sales piece. So I don't think there is, literally I could go through, which we haven't got time for today, with each client that we're facing it. We have actually tried to break down the process and then work out where, and sometimes we can't. Sometimes it's like we have no idea, but there's been other times we've been able to make a tweak. So my only sort of advice is just to look at the whole end-to-end process, see what agency partners being used potentially, see whether it's a gap in a hiring manager, see if the pool of candidates, and then start to identify the trend. But it's certainly an area of concern at the moment, and it's a real challenge because it's just such a waste of everyone's time if you do get to that point when you've done 4 stages of interview and then they just drop out. So it's definitely worth investing the time of, I think.
Thank you. And was just on the trainee scheme, let's call it. When you first kicked off, did you offer that up to internals who may have joined you as a graduate but not come on as a graduate scheme, or did you purely go external first year round? Obviously it evolves over a period, but first year round, did you look internal as well?
No, so what we deliberately did this time, because we wanted to look at growing our future talent, we've got a couple of programs on offer. So the pure trainee program we went external for, and we've done the same again because it's proved to be such a success bringing fresh kind of individuals into the organisation. But what we have got alongside that is we've got our own leadership program that's running. So we have, just like we did on the slides, we've taken some individuals, we found out where they want to go. It means that we're not going to lose them. We've invested the time in them, and they've already started their leadership program. And that's partly run internal and external as well. So they get formal qualifications at the end of it. And then in addition to that, just as Holly alluded to and I alluded to, we have just started our own development business partner program as well. So we are quite passionate around the way that we business partner all of our accounts. And it was certainly one of the things that, again, we found quite difficult to resource for actually at the moment. There isn't that kind of skill set out there. So we've got a fantastic pool of individuals, and that program starts in September. And the idea is that they work alongside their day job, and then we start to hand over accounts from existing account managers or new accounts that come in probably from kind of October, November onwards. So yeah, that's what we've decided to do on that one. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, can't see anything else coming in at the moment. So Richard, thank you very much for your interaction. Just moving on. So what we can help you. So we can design talent attraction and sourcing strategies, including those from emerging talent, trainees and future leader programs. We can deliver the end-to-end recruitment process for you, and for all types of hire and above, really. We can support you to develop and enhance your employee value proposition, and we can map the market to identify what your competitors are currently offering. And I think, just going back to what Della was talking about, and Richard, your question, a number of other things that we're doing at the moment is we've got a lot of organisations coming to us to almost do refresher training on line managers and how to interview, just in case something's being missed at the interview stage as well. So we're actually going to take a break over the summer. Normally we run these on a monthly basis around all different topics, but our next one isn't until September. So just on the screen now, I won't read them all out, but we are back to normal: September, October, November, skipping out December and January, running a number of different webinars through to EVP propositions and effective onboarding processes and new starters as well. And finally, what I'd just like to say is thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you along this morning. Thank you for being interactive and joining in, and look forward very much to hearing from any of you if we can support you at all. So thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah.
Hello.
Should we stop
It's all
recording
right.
now?
I'm just about to start recording.